Hello and welcome back to the X-Ring. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at one of my most favorite rifles, and that's the M1 Garand or Garand, whichever way you'd like to say it. All right, so in the late 20s, John C. Garand or Garand developed the M1 Garand. This was in use from about 1938 to about 57 or so, and it shot a 30-06 cartridge. Now, unlike a 30-06 bolt gun, this is actually very smooth shooting. It has a very soft recoil impulse. It was typically fitted with a canvas sling, or you could have the 1907 sling like this from the Springfields. But these are great rifles. Back in the day, you could get these relatively inexpensive. That's not the case anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the features, how this thing works, and we're going to get to shooting it with the iron sights. We'll try to take it out to about 600 yards or so. So the weight of the rifle is about 9.5 pounds. It does shoot the 30-06 and it does hold 8 rounds in an in-block clip, not a magazine. It does have a charging handle on the right side and it does have iron sights. It also has a clip release, which is right here, and you're going to have a wood stock on this. Just a beautiful, beautiful looking stock. You actually had a couple sling swivels here. This one at the front is not a sling swivel. It wasn't used for that. This was actually called a stacking swivel, and you could actually take 3 rifles and interlock them on the stacking swivel and make a tripod out of it, or something to hang items, or actually just store the rifles in an open field. You do have a protected front sight here, and it does have provisions for a bayonet. I'll show you one of those here in just a moment. And on the back of the buttstock here, you did have a place for your cleaning kit and your tools and all of that. Now, as far as disassembly, it works very easily. If you look at the trigger guard itself, and there was a winter trigger guard, so you could shoot this by pulling if you had big mittens on. Guys, if it wasn't for the Garand, we probably wouldn't have won World War II. It was the first semi-automatic that was in production for the US. So basically what we do to disassemble it is we just take the trigger guard itself and pull on the back of it. Very, very tough to do. But when you do that, it releases. Now, this is going to release the bottom portion of the actual trigger itself. I don't know if you guys can see that too well. And then from there, what we're going to do is you can tap the stock a couple times, and now you can remove the upper and the lower half like this. You guys see that? Now, what you've got from here, other than the wood stock, is you have your clip mechanism, and then you have what we call the op rod. Now, this op rod runs the full length of the bottom here over here to the gas port. So there's no separate piston in here, just the op rod. Now, you need to be careful making sure that you shoot 30-06 rounds that were made for the Garand, because if you shoot a really hot round in here, what's going to happen is you'll actually bend your op rod, and that's not a good thing. I actually had a shim in here for shimming out this piece of wood, but let's go ahead and get this thing put back together. Just by sliding that back on, we're going to go ahead and drop the receiver back in here. You're going to open your trigger guard, place the bottom on, clip it shut, and we are good to go. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to run some steels out to 600 yards. At least I hope so anyway. And what we'll do is I'll show you how to load it. So let's go ahead and get to shooting. All right, so before we get started, what we're going to talk about is this sling. Now, this is a very, very versatile sling. Typically, I would run something like a Turner saddlery. You know, I grew up back in the day doing NRA high power, and we shot 200, 300, and 600 yards iron sights. But typically, you would take off one of the keepers, and this would allow you to have a cuff here so that you could use this and secure your arm. Okay, or you could use it in the prone position, whichever you like, and if you got the keepers right, it was actually very, very stable. Now, this is positional style shooting. I don't know if you would have time for this out in the battlefield, but since I'm trying to show you guys, you know, the capabilities of this Garand, now this doesn't have national match parts on it or anything else, but basically you take your sling, you rotate it to the left, you put your arm in the cuff, and if you're very, very familiar with your rifle, you can number the keeper slots. That way you'll know what it does in which position, basically because of the arm length or if you were shooting prone. Now, as far as loading the rifle itself, this is actually going to be the in-block clip, or clip as we call it. Now, there's a reason why it's called Garand thumb, and it's not because of the YouTube video content creator. The reason is when you would press this down into the actual mechanism, it could close on you. And if that happened, what it would do is it would smash your thumb. So the way that I was always taught was to keep your palm, the backside of your hand, up against the charging handle here, like this. You block it, and then you just press straight down and in, and then hand off, and it can either close, or you just slap it forwards, and you were good to go. The safety mechanism, if you see it covering the trigger guard, you know that it's on safe. So let's see what kind of luck I have with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go 200 yards first. I'm going to go sitting. We're not going to go prone here or anything else. Now, whenever I go sitting, I try not to put elbows on top of knees. That's just a bad combination. And so what I try to do is get it on the back of the tricep. That'll usually work the best, and you're going to have the less material rolling around. So 200 yards, we're going to go 8 clicks up. All right, so that's 8. I do have a spotter that should be able to tell me where I'm at, left, right, or anything like that. So 200 yards. Here we go. I'm going hot. Impact. Just a little low left. Low left. All right, now we're going to go 300 yards. 8. And guys, this is going to be a third IPSC at 300. So we'll go 300. Here we go. Impact left edge, I think.
Yeah, left edge. You hit the red light off.
Got it. All right, now what I'm going to do is, guys, I'm going to have to skip the 500. Or the 400. I'm going to have to go out to 5 because there is no 400. So 500 is going to be 22. And these optics, and on the iron sights, you had minute adjustments. So it is done in minutes, and 500 is way uphill. All right, here we go. Impact. You know where?
It looks center.
Center? Okay. So there's something to remember when you're shooting irons, guys, and that is, this is a saying that I was taught a long time ago when I used to train with the Marine Corps guys. Light up, sight up, light down, sight down. And what that's going to mean is if you have a lot of light up. If it's really bright, you want to bring your sight up because typically you're going to aim a little low and not realize it. When the light is dark or light down, sight down because you'll typically shoot high. So now we have one more target. That's at 600. So 22, 23, 24, 25. This is 600 yards. The problem is it's way uphill and that's really uncomfortable. Let's see if we can do 600. Here we go. Impact, 1 for 1 with irons, 200, 300, 500, and 600. The effective range on this was touted as 500 yards, but I know it's pretty easy to take one of these out to about 1,000. Now, I've got 2 more shots in here, I think, or a couple more shots. Let's just do the 200, and I want you guys to see what happens, and you're going to hear that pinging when the clip comes out. So 200 yards was going to be 8 clicks. All right, let's go ahead and finish this off. 200. That's a hit. 200. And one more, and here we go, and listen. Nope, I think I got one more. There it is. So 0 misses out of 8 shots all the way out to 600, but that was the clip that gets ejected out of it, just like that. And that's the pinging noise. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that review of the M1 Garand. It is one of my most favorite rifles outside of the M14. Let's go ahead and jump over to that next and see how it progressed from the Garand into the M14. All right, so I figured we'd just go ahead and make this a double header. After the Garand was discontinued, the shortest lived rifle in the Army was going to be the M14. And one of the reasons was the M14 was very hard to control, especially on full auto, so most people only shot it in semi-automatic, and it was also chambered in 308 or 7.62 by 51. So on the M14, it actually looks just like the Garand, okay? There's very little difference, except you had a fiberglass top. This was usually solid, but what they did was they shortened the op rod and they actually put a piston in here. And so in the backside here, you actually have your combination tool. And so if you needed to, what you could do is just take this plug off and you could take your piston out, clean it, do whatever you needed to do, but it did have a shorter op rod system. The other thing they wanted to do was go to a magazine fed system. So you did have a 20 round magazine fed 308 that's got a block on the back. And so basically you would start this in, it's got a hook on the front side, and once it hooks on the front side, then you've got to pull straight back on it till it hooks. It does have last round bolt holes. You would just charge it just like that. And the sight system was virtually the same. The only difference is this one is a machine gun. So if you've not seen one of these before, you actually had a selector switch here on the side. And if you're not familiar with these, usually these are little buttons that are welded up, but you could actually just press in, rotate, and then when you saw the A, I don't know if you guys can see that A on the back side, that A meant automatic. Now, she is a handful in full auto. So typically they would have the M2, and the M2 had a pistol grip, it had another plastic grip here, and then it also had a bipod. Now, those bipods are hard to find. I do have a bipod for it, but it does start to scar up this area here, so we're gonna refrain from using that. So let me go ahead and load it up, take a couple shots with this, and then we're gonna let these guys try their hand at it in a machine gun style, because it is very tough to control this as a machine gun. So here we go. All right, so enough talking, let's go ahead and get to shooting it. I do have a magazine here. I don't have 20 rounds in it. We're gonna get the front side started, and then we're gonna pull on this back. I actually have this one fitting rather tightly so that it doesn't come loose when we shoot it in the machine gun. So right now it's on semi-automatic. Let me go ahead and charge it. Let's see if we can get the impact at 200 yards. These do shoot just as well as the Garand, so here we go. And that's an impact. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press on this and rotate it forwards. I'm only going to do a short burst because it is a handful. So let's see if we can even get it at 200. And here we go. I did hit it. She will climb quickly. This is why I don't want these guys to shoot more than about 3 rounds. It's easy to lose one over a berm because it is so lightweight and you're shooting that 308. So let's go ahead and get it in these guys' hands. All right, so we've got fill on it. I've only got 4 rounds in there because I don't want it getting away from them. So let's go ahead and charge, release. He's on semi. All right, let's see if you can get one at 200 yards. Nice. Now let's go aim downrange. He's going to press in, rotate till it clicks. Hold on to her.
Oh yeah.
You got 3 shots. It's a handful, isn't it?
That's awesome.
All righty.
Man.
All right, we got Albert out the range. He's never shot You ever shot a machine gun?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but never shot an M14. Let's go ahead and charge it. You're on semi-automatic. All right, let's try to get one round on the 200. All right, let's go ahead and push that button and rotate it away from you until it goes to A. All right, here we go. And that's it.
Wow.
What do you think, Albert?
That's fantastic.
Awesome.
That's a kick, man.
All right, so that wraps it up with two of my most favorite rifles ever built. And that was going to be the M1 Garand or Garand and also the M14. It is a rare treasure to be able to shoot an M14. That's one out of my personal collection that it's probably one of my most prized machine guns. It is very, very tough to control. Hence the short service life with the military. It was only in service for about 8 or 9 years, and then those were kind of put in surplus. Then the M16 came out, and then of course the M14s were rebirthed as the EBR series once they went through accurizing. I've also put an EBR on there from in the past, from about 3 years ago, and it's a really unique platform, but it kind of like takes away from it when you start adding all that aluminum and get away from the wood and everything else. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. All right, so loading up the clip, what you're gonna do is just take it and you're gonna insert it just like that. His hand is blocking it. He's gonna push straight down. Make sure it's straight. Keep going until it clicks, and then move your hand out of the way. Now push the charging handle forwards. You gotta bump it. There you go, and your safety is off, so you're ready to go. Now, Phil here has never shot a Garand, so we're gonna try to get him at 200, and we'll see if he can hit it offhand at 200. It is a 2-stage trigger. She kicks a little, but not bad. Impact.
Nice.
And let's go one more. All right, let's put the safety on. Just straight back on that. All right, we're gonna hand it to Albert and we'll see if Albert can do it. Guys, these are phenomenal rifles. So Albert's never shot a Garand either, I don't think.
Nope.
She pushes a little, but like I said, 2-stage trigger, take up the slack and... Oh, he's just off. And he's off left. All right, what'd you think about the recoil?
Not too bad. I thought it was going to be a little worse than that.
Yeah, well, nice job. Thanks, Albert.
I appreciate it.